Hello to all my people, and if you're watching live, checking us out on YouTube, or listening on your favorite podcast provider, you are most definitely my people. Welcome to another episode of Botched Bots and Share Shots, powered by Last Word on Sports. I am your host, a chef by trade and a mark by choice. I am the Will Gray, and joining me tonight is the ultra-violent samurai. He is the Death Fighter Akira. Akira, thanks for coming on Chat About Some Wrestling with me, brother. How are you?
I literally just got off the plane from Prestige, so I'm tired, but I'm here.
That's very close to the top of the list. When I woke up this morning and saw what you were doing, I was like, well, that's convenient. That's a talking point if I've ever seen one.
Might as well use it.
For sure. Yeah, it makes the job easy for sure. Before we get diving into the here and now, I kind of always start with the same question to start the conversation, and it's kind of our basis. It's the icebreaker. It's the origin story. Every Marvel character has one. Every pro wrestler has one. When you decided, okay, I want to be a pro wrestler, what was that first year like for you when you came into the business, as they say?
So, I mean, to give a little bit of backstory, I grew up around wrestling. I was like, wrestling was always kind of in my life. My dad was always watching either WWF, WCW, and then eventually ECW. My uncle was much more of the nerd between the two, so he had like New Japan tapes, just like tapes of like all the other promotions that you're not normal, like all the things that tape traders would try to obtain. I I was watching it. I loved, like, in terms of like WWF, it was like Bret Hart, then became The Rock. I think those were my two guys. WCW was like DDP. I always loved Sting. Ultimo Dragon I always thought was cool just because the name just sounds cool. And then ECW, it was Raven, it was Tajiri, Terry Funk. Those like, they were just the bigger than life characters that stuck out to me. It wasn't like I cared about the wrestling moves or anything. I just thought they were cool. And as time goes on, you grow up and you kind of fall out of love with some things that you were kind of growing up with. Not that they did anything wrong. It was just, you become a teenager, you get stuck with your own teenage angst and your own self misery, and you kind of dwell on that. I was very much focused on, I guess, because I was where I'm from. I'm from the middle of Indiana. I'm the middle of nowhere, and I was the only minority kid. People can say they can call me white, whatever they want to say, but when I grew up, I had like a bowl cut. I looked like I was from a Gamera movie. I was very, very prototypical little Asian kid. And I grew up and I received the short end of the stick in a lot of ways. I heard all the slurs in the world, all the crap in the world, especially being the only minority kid up until I was thinking like junior high. And that's when some like more kids started to move in. And I kind of wanted to disassociate from being Asian just because I was, I was called every name in the book. You kind of want to step away from those things because you feel embarrassed. So then I went to college and I became friends with guys who were into wrestling. And I think it was like my beginning of my sophomore year. I sat down with them and maybe it was the end of my freshman year. Yeah, maybe end of the freshman year. I became friends with these guys, and they were having a Royal Rumble party, and I just started watching it again. But like I'd already been kind of getting back into it, but it wasn't like I was watching like WWF. It was like I was watching Ring of Honor, things like that. And around that time, that's when I first got back into it. Was I watched a Minoru Suzuki match. I watched and I think it was one of the Nakamura Wrestle Kingdom matches. I was like looking through Reddit or something, and someone posted those matches, and I was like, "Whoa, this is wrestling! This is so cool!" I just completely forgotten about the things I grew up watching, and then I started watching WWF again, or WWE, because my friends were watching it, and then it was something we do every Monday and Friday, even though WWE during those times was terrible. It was miserable. I don't know why I watched it. I just get mad watching it from a artistic standpoint. But that's how I fell back into the cycle of things, and I started again branching out even more. Went from New Japan. I started watching Noah, older Noah, like mid 2000s Noah that I missed because I stopped watching wrestling, and because I didn't have internet, so I really wouldn't have been able to see any pro wrestling Noah matches or anything like that to begin with. From where I was in the middle of nowhere in Indiana, I didn't have any. I had like dial-up internet until I went to college actually, and I just kept with it. It never fell out of it, and I graduated college, went back to middle Indiana, started working like numerous different jobs that I hated, and I went to a house show where I saw I think it was in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I saw I'm gonna get compared to this regardless. I saw AJ Styles versus a certain guy named Dean Ambrose, who we know as Jon Moxley, and I watched that match. It was a TLC house show, and I decided right then and there I was like, I'm gonna be a wrestler. I missed being an athlete because I was a college swimmer. I like being creative. I was always an artist at mind. A musician as well, and I just decided, you know what, I'm going to do this. I am going to dive in head first. I don't care what happens. And so I started training. I'd work 2 jobs, and I would go train every weekend. I'd hop in the car. I'd go to my trainer's house, which was 3 hours away because every other school around me closed, and I would sleep on his bed, which was a dirty, dirty, dirty bed in a dirty, dirty, dirty house, the whole weekend, just so I can get more ring time, so I could work harder and debut faster. I was like one of 2 students, and just through there, I kept working. I was supposed to debut. I got sick, so it got pushed back. I debuted in January of 2018, but coincidentally, because it's going to lead into the match that we're going to talk about. When I first started training, I went to a War of the Worlds Ring of Honor pay-per-view too, and Minoru Suzuki made his return, I think, to the United States. I think that was his big return before he wrestled Cody Rhodes. And me and my stupid childish mentality, because I didn't know any better. I wrote a letter to him, and I gave it. I think it was to Frankie Kazarian. And I go, Mr. Kazarian, can you give this to Suzuki? Because it was like $100 for a meet and greet, and I couldn't afford it, whatever it was. And I said, can you please give this to him? And he said, sure, kid. And I don't think he ever did. I don't know if he did. But it was a letter saying like, I want to be in Suzuki-gun. I'm like, I don't care about Bullet Club. I want to be in Suzuki-gun. I want to be trained by. I want to be a student of you, because I looked up to him even then. So I debuted, and I just hit the road. Like that's basically all I did was I just hit the road, because there was no real like clear path. It wasn't like I was in a regular school either. My trainer, when it came time to graduate, I just was kicked out, and he's like, go, get out of here. Don't stay in this one area. You're not going to get better. Go to seminars, do what you got to do. He's like, you have my blessing to get out of here. And that's what happened. And eventually it led to me doing death matches. I just went to a show, and I got invited to go to Mexico. And I said, okay. And I went to Mexico. I wasn't even on the show that was happening. And I get there, and the guy goes, hey, someone no show. Do you want to do death match? And I was like 25, 26. Maybe I think it was 24, 25. And I go, oh, okay. Because death matches terrified me. I thought they were cool at that point because I saw Kasai versus Cologne, and I thought death matches could be really beautiful. But actually doing one was terrifying to me. But I went in there and I did it, and I got addicted to it. It was just like that. And literally all of my career just started spiraling off of that. It was just a domino effect until it got to where we're at today. People trying to tell me that I couldn't be a certain thing. You can't be a hard-hitting guy. You can't be a deathmatch guy. You can't be a deathmatch guy that works regular matches, and then you can't get on any kind of televised promotion. And my entire career has just been proving people wrong. And like, I guess you could say if you want an origin story, that's my origin story. I literally lived the life and lived the road of a lonely warrior, because I did the pilgrimage on my own. I didn't have a school. I didn't have a team. I had a village that was raising me. I had mentors along the way.
All right, you brought him up, and like I
Yeah.
said, you just got off the plane from working the match. You had a
Yeah.
chance to work Minoru Suzuki.
Yes.
He's a living legend in the community and inside the wrestling world.
Mm-hmm.
The internet wrestling community lovingly tags him the Murder Grandpa.
Yeah.
Like, what was it? What was it like for you to have a chance to finally lock up with him and go one-on-one with Minoru?
Uh, Surreal. You'll see it in my face even when he's making his entrance. My mind is just like I don't know what, like, I'm just ready to do it. I'm even out there. I'm singing. I sang a little bit of his music. I muttered it. Um, but you're in there. I'm in there with one of like the people that got me back into wrestling. Like I have a small Rushmore of people that I consider like my favorites in the world. Minoru Suzuki, Shinsuke Nakamura, Kazuya Shibata, um, Sakuraba, Kazushi Sakuraba, who is, you know, a great pro wrestler and a great fighter, and Jun Kasai. Like those are the guys that I made me who I am, and also made me to be the wrestler that I wanted to be. Um, and to be in there with him, like the dude has done everything. You know, King of Pancrase, literally helped kickstart mixed martial arts. Has beaten Ken Shamrock, has done every style of match you can think of, has won the Triple Crown, has won all these accolades, and I went in there with him, and I just knew when I was thinking about the match, I just knew that like I've seen other people wrestle him, and they shell up and they're timid and they don't show any grit, fire, and I said no, I'm gonna out this old motherfucker, and I'm gonna give him back just what he's gonna give me. So when he called me young boy, I said the craziest things anyone's ever probably called him. I said, come on, you old fucking man, and everyone was like, what did you say to him? But it's not from a thing of disrespect. It was just I am not gonna just take your shit, dude. Like I I idolize you. You know, you can do everything. You're one of the best pro wrestlers in the world, even at age 55. But I'm the young gun, and I will go tooth and nail, blood and guts, like all grit, all heart is what I'm going to give him, and I did. And the crowd liked it. The crowd loved it. I got to the back, and everyone was telling me that they were just reacting. They were popping so big for everything. And I was just, you know, you envision these things in your head, and I don't think I ever want to watch the match back. But everyone was coming and telling me, they're like, dude, you look so good. You made him look so good. And they said you really stuck it to him. Like you were yourself through and through. You gave him just as much as he gave you, and that's what it was supposed to be. And I got to go in there and I got to roll around with one of the guys that got me back into wrestling. Man, like it's a crazy thing to think about, but I'm very happy I did it. And from all accounts, from them asking him and him telling me, he said he really enjoyed it, and he said I was very good. So to hear, you know, I've been wrestling for 6 years, so to hear that from a guy who's been doing it since 1988 is crazy. And you know, for 6 years, it's a I'm not going to say it's a testament, but it's a nice thing to hear after 6 years that one of your icons thinks you're great or thinks you're really good.
Um, he's not only an icon in wrestling here in America, but specifically,
Mm-hmm.
I just saw a picture of your dog for the first time, by the way, when I was looking through like Twitter
Oh,
and stuff. Coda, was that what the name right? Was that
yeah,
the right name?
he just ran downstairs. Yeah.
I love animals. Not only in America, but also over in Japan. You've
Yes.
had a wild run over the last few years with Big Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yes.
One of my biggest questions about this is Japan and the US have very contrasting styles in wrestling, and that's any type of wrestling, but very specifically death match wrestling.
Mm.
What was the biggest difference for you going over there? And you know, you've got Onita and you've got Funk and you've got Foley and the history of Japanese death match wrestling. What was it like for you getting over there and being a part of it?
So I've been asked this by like other younger wrestlers too, like what was Japan like? What should I expect? And I've had even had some other guys that, you know, been doing it longer than me, but that went over. They asked what's it like, And I have to be upfront with him. This isn't me lying. This isn't me, jerking my chain. If you know me, I don't blow smoke up my own ass. If you give me compliments, I go, thank you, but I feel weird about it. Thank you. But when I went over there and I made my debut against Masashi Takeda last September, people were already chanting my name. It was crazy to me. And then after the match, I had the longest merch line. We went to Kurikan the next day. We went on a little mini tour, and it was just Akira. Like my experience is not what other people's experience is going to be. I am Korean Japanese, so I think that had helped me a little bit. But like forever, I'd always hear how I have like a cult following in Japan, and I didn't believe it. And I went over there, and it was true. Like I had girls and I had guys coming up that were shaking and crying and so excited to meet me. And I tell people, I'm like, it's different when you go over there. Like for me, when I went over there with Pondo and Necro, and my friend Remington Roar, they told us, listen, they don't want to see you wrestle Japanese style. But for me, it was very much like, okay, they're going to expect a bit more out of me. I can't just go in there and do, I'm big, dumb gaijin, punch kick, brah at the crowd. The crowd already knew, like, no, we know you can wrestle. Like, you have to put your work in. And I did. And I'm very much happy to do that. Like, I love putting in the work like that. I came back after the match with Takeda, and Necro and Pondo just looked at me. They go, "Oh, kid, you made it. You're in." So, it's just a different experience. Like the Japanese fans really believe it. They really believe everything that you're doing. It's not some smart, tongue-in-cheek kind of shit with some American. There's some American fans or Western fans that think I'm edgier, that I'm a tryhard. Like, oh, he's pretending he's a badass, and the Japanese fans go, no, he does all this crazy stuff to his and for real. Like he's actually like you don't just do that because for payday. You have to love it a little bit, and unfortunately, I do love it. Sammy Callahan has always just been like, yeah, has always like, especially at MLW, has pointed the finger at me. He's like, you're crazy. You just want to do all the crazy deathmatch shit. You love it, and I go, yeah, you're right. It's the Japanese fans are just so receptive. They were so loving. There's some American fans, like not even American, probably just Western fans, because it could be people from like France, whatever. That they always say like, I stole my name, I'm fake Japanese, and whenever I go over there, they know immediately. They ask me where I got my name from, which I didn't get from the anime Akira. I got it from when I was a kid, and I used to get picked on. I used to write a book, like crappy little short stories. I used to draw them too, and the main character's name was always Akira, and I got that from Akira Toriyama. And I was like 5'6", so it wasn't like I'm thinking, ooh, Akira Toriyama. I just thought, ooh, I like that name, and it's close enough to my name, that I had. And even in like once I started wrestling, like my family had told me, hey, it's either wrestling and move out, / we're kicking you out, or get a job. And I said, okay, I'm leaving. So I don't have a last name in pro wrestling because my family kind of, kicked me out. And so I don't really claim them. But the Japanese were like, no. I was told this by like 5 or 6 fans. They said, Coda, hush. Oh my God. Yeah, this is what I have to deal with. I have to deal with him being a brat. But like the Japanese fans had said to me specifically, they're like, no, Japan is your home. And I go, okay. And like 5 or 6 of those fans, go upstairs, go. Being a brat. Yeah. See, this is what I have to deal with, guys. You're moving.
Makes an appearance for the show.
Oh yeah, he's a brat. Go, little demon. It's just the fans were just so much more loving and open, and they accepted everything, and they understood all the little character things I did. Like when I wrestled Ito-san, and I beat Ito-san, and I cleared the mat for him. A lot of American fans would not have noticed that. The Japanese fans said, "Oh, Akira-san, even in victory, he's so respectful to his veterans." it's a totally different culture thing. Like they truly in Japan love and believe in what you're doing. And I always believe in what I'm doing. People could say, you know, I'm being edgy or being a tryhard. I'm just being me 100%, you know? Like, I like landing on knife boards. I like eating glass. I love throwing middle fingers because my entire career has been a fucking middle finger to people like guys like Ian Rotten and dudes that have always disrespected me and never given me any kind of, you know, credit to what I've been doing. And if you think that's being edgy and being a tryhard, I'm like, well, guess what? That's punk rock, bro. Like, I'm not gonna apologize for being who I am. Like I told Minoru Suzuki yesterday, hit me harder, old man. He said, "Fuck you, young boy," and I said, "Fuck you, old man." And everyone was like, "Oh, what did you say?" And I'm like, I'm not taking your shit, dude. Like, if I could say it's a murder grandpa, I'll say it to fucking anybody. Like, I don't care. Like I mean, in the best way. Japan is its own special place, and I can't wait to go back. America's great. I like American fans. You know, they're loyal 100%. But the Japanese fans, it's a level of love and care and appreciation that I have never felt in all of my life.
So speaking on death matches, you talked about how important they've been to you in your career and helped develop who you are. This is a question from the fans' perspective. What do you feel like fans get the most out of coming to a live deathmatch show? Because it's a living, breathing thing. They're a totally different crowd. It's a totally different experience. From your perspective, what do the fans get out of deathmatch wrestling?
So when I started training, I didn't like death matches. I didn't shit on them, but I was like, I could never do that kind of thing, you know. But when I watched Cologne, I watched two matches. I watched Slack versus Nick Gage. They said it couldn't be done, and then followed by Cologne and Kasai, and I got the true visceral chaos and brutality of what it could be, and I realized from a wrestler's perspective how doing these things can change the fans' perception of you from being, you know, I was just a young kid to he's one of the craziest death fighters in the world. You know, he's covered in scars, but he's also one of the hardest fucking pro wrestlers in the world. It's a visceral experience, and I'm gonna be honest, it's not for everybody, but I also think that the best part about death matches is there's so many different kinds of death matches. There's barbed wire death matches. I do death match wrestlers. We need to focus on doing different kinds of death matches. But I believe that deathmatch fans they get the visceral, chaotic experience that you get like in a mosh pit at these shows. It's not for everybody, but it's something visceral and real that you're not going to get from regular pro wrestling.
Over, I guess, maybe like 2 weekends now. It's crazy that that's already been almost 2 weeks. The Collective. You had a chance to be at Josh Barnett's BloodSport. You spoke on the Japanese fans chanting and screaming your name. Your match against Victor Benjamin, like that crowd had a visceral reaction for you. They were booming pop. So kind of a two-part question.
Road Warrior pop, brother. Road Warrior pop.
That's right. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So what was it like for you? One, being able to work Josh Barnett's Bloodsport, but also being a part of the Collective as a bigger piece to the indie wrestling puzzle, I guess.
So I've done like Planet Death and stuff like that, and I people always say like Akira never wins a GCW. I'm like, that's besides the point. Bloodsport was something that I've always wanted to do before I ever even was doing death matches. And to be on that, it's a short list, man. Like I think it's like Barnett's list from like top to bottom, and just the fact that he messaged me once and said, "Hey, dude, you're on my list, so don't like be ready." I go, "Oh shit, fuck!" It was on my birthday too. I was like, "Oh fuck, okay." But coming out and hearing like the fans' reception, even with my entrance and in my loss, it's everything you could want, man. Like, I obviously have more to prove on the Bloodsport stage, but I felt like, listen, I'm not a black belt striker like that Victor Benjamin guy is, but I fucking mat wrestled the living shit out of him, and I know I did. and I thought it was a very good introduction. And apparently, from what I heard, the higher ups, specifically a certain War Master, also said that was telling people that he was surprised by me, and that I impressed him a little bit, and that's always good to hear. That was, I don't care about I'm at this point now where I don't care if I'm going to be a GCW mainstay. I would rather just be a BloodSport mainstay, and hearing from the man who has also done it all, main evented the Tokyo Dome, fucking trained under Noki, the War Master. Hearing that kind of confirmation from him, and also getting prepped up by him, like basically doing like the Inoki slap to me to fucking get me ready to fucking go. Like that's all I could ever want. And hearing the fans, man, the chanting from beginning to end, like I was like, no matter what I do in this match, no matter what happens, they're behind me 100%. They're gonna fucking hate this other guy, and I was completely correct. And and if you can't hear that fan reactions and realize that, like, I am money waiting to be printed in your pocket and in my pocket, you're just fucking yourself, and I don't care. Like, I'm not here to fucking convince you anymore. Like, I've already convinced the fans. I've convinced people all around the world, and I'm okay doing me. I've done enough. I'm still doing things. I'm still achieving, and I'm still going out there and putting my best foot forward. I know what I'm worth, and I know that I'm valuable, and I know that in every scenario that I've been put in, whether it's fucking Big A Brunch, whether it's a death match, whether it's a scramble, whether it's Bloodsport, I go out there and people remember me. That's what's important.
I like it when my guest gives me easy segues, because you brought it up. You had a chance to be at the Big Gay Brunch in Tampa. I was lucky enough. I sat down with Effy before the event, kind of hyped it up some, talked about it. I asked him very specifically about Tampa. What was the one match you were most looking forward to from the promoter side of the table? And he said Maid Kira versus Billy Dixon. So I'm curious, when you have a chance to work, there's no other way around it. The Big Gay Brunch is a spectacle unto itself.
Yes.
So what was it like for you to be able to step out and do that in that frame and that style and that show? What was it like for you at the Big Gay Brunch?
So going back to why I like Minoru Suzuki so much, Minoru Suzuki is willing to do whatever the fuck. Like, he'll still be himself, or he'll do like little costume changes, but he loves all styles of pro wrestling. I watch him do the Ass Destroyer spot from the DDT guys during New Year's, and his face went face first into this man's ass. And I was like, listen, if Minoru Suzuki can do this shit, there's no reason y'all pseudo macho motherfuckers can't do any of this shit, and like I'm a bisexual guy. Obviously, I'm in a straight relationship, but like, people also know that I'm very, very, very pretty. I have a lot of people message me or talk to me, and they go, "You're so pretty." Like, I've heard a lot, especially with the Maid Kira stuff. Like, dude, how are you even hotter as a woman? And I'm like, I don't know. That's a whole bag of tricks that I am not going to open right now. Maybe if life finds a way, but because I did the Maid Kira stuff for Twitch. I hit a certain Twitch goal, and the fans said, "Hey, we want to do this," and they expect me to go like full lady beard, have a beard, and just dress up as a maid. And I was like, no, 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 no. I'm going 100% in Japanese style. Like, Shigehiro Iri does a fucking gimmick like that too in Japan. Masashi Takeda does fucking, like, it's not that uncommon in Japan. And I said, I'm gonna go all in, and I did it, and everyone was just shocked by how pretty I was. And even Effy was just messaging me one day and he goes, "Hey," and I go, "What?" And he goes, "Does Maid Kira wrestle?" And I go, "She can. What's up?" And he's like, "Give me a moment." And apparently, it took some convincing, but the match got announced. Everyone got really excited. People didn't know what to think, but we knew what it was gonna. I knew what it was gonna be. It was gonna be me being the maid. I'm gonna embrace the whole, like, I mean, you watched the match. I cleaned everyone's fucking feet. I sprayed the goddamn ropes. I went and I dusted a fan's face and called him a dusty bitch because he was talking shit. But then also, when I got slapped, the gloves came off and I started throwing necro butcher level hands. But it was just insane. Like, it was just a spectacle. Like, I literally looked at it as a from like an anime perspective, I was like, the wig made me become like Sailor Moon. So I just went all in with it, the music and everything. And afterwards, everyone was just so surprised. They were like, "You went all in." They're like, "That was so good. That was so chaotic. It was so charismatic." And also credit to Billy, because Billy matched that level of charisma that I was throwing out there. Because I think there's other people that would have been out there, and I'd have ate them alive just in terms of charisma. But I went out there, and there were some doubters. I know there were some naysayers, and I said, "Watch, I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna gay it the fuck up. Like, people aren't gonna expect me to. I'm gonna be the hottest girl that y'all have never been with, and they're gonna be chanting my name from beginning to end." And again, that's exactly what happened. You put me in any scenarios, I'll make it fucking work. And it was just fun. It was a different kind. It was a different style of wrestling. It was very much more like a DDT style match, or it was me unleashing my comedy Minoru Suzuki. It was me unleashing my comedy Toru Yano, if you will. And I have fun doing that kind of shit, man. Like, I love all styles of pro wrestling. I'm not beholden to staying to one kind. People tried to gatekeep me and try to pigeonhole me, and I'm just like, no, because I'm gonna do the thing that you guys think that you do better than you. And I did. And the fans loved it, by the way. They loved it. And some of them didn't know it was me until I came up. They go, "Wait, you're Akira?" And I go, who did you think made Kira was, guys? Like, because they saw I had actual Akira merch out, and they didn't know. They're like, "We didn't think it was you." And I was like, "What do you mean?"
Just waited for you to show up at some point, like to come through the curtain anyways. Our trip around the world, so to speak, Japan, talked GCW in Philly, BloodSport, we talked about Tampa.
Yep.
Not failed to talk about some stuff you've done with MLW, Court and the team. They've been red hot since they got the TV deal. What was it like for you going into the War Chamber match, Team Death Fighters versus the Calling, having the chance to be kind of the captain of it, to run into it going into that match? What was your time like?
I myself as the captain, like, to be perfectly honest. But now that I'm thinking about it, like, I guess I kind of got put in. I got put in the main character role, and I didn't even think about it. Dude, the run with MLW has been it's been really cool. Like, I want to say bizarre, because before I signed, everyone was saying, "Why don't sign? Don't sign. Why would you sign?" Because I heard all these horror stories, and I signed, and it's been nothing but a great time. I'm part of a story that everyone, like, even at WrestleCon this past Mania, like, people were coming up and saying, "Dude, we love the work you're doing with MLW," just out of the blue. And they asked for my table. As I said, "I don't have a table." They go, "What?" I go, "I don't have a table." I eventually set one up where Masha did, but, like, I didn't have a table. But people are coming up, and I'm happy to be a part of products that are growing, and basically being aligning with the underdogs of any kind of, like, any independent promotion and any major promotion. And it's great because I've been put in these positions, and I allegedly, I guess, from what I hear, is I've been killing it. People want to see me. People cheer for me. The cheers are becoming basically just like it would be at any death match or GCW or BGW or any show. And building up to the War Chamber, this has been a year and a half of just storytelling. And with the fact we got to this point, and the fact that the fans are invested in it, and I mean, that's all you could want. Like, we built to the blood and guts to where it mattered, and it's just very weird, but also very cool and very flattering that people are saying, like, you're the number one, like, one of the number one baby faces on MLW now. Like you're fiery, you're hot. Everyone wants to see you. I always hear from all the office guys that I'm growing so much and I'm doing so good. It's a very good experience, and, like, I'm very happy. And the War Chamber was very chaotic, but it told the story, and it was fun. It was truly fun too.
All right, I've got one more question, and it's more of a stylistic question for you.
I think you muted.
Okay. One of the things stylistically, and this is it's kind of a personal thing I wanted to ask you about. When I watch some of your work, I've seen you do no ring matches. I've seen you do no rope matches. I watched you do death matches. Going into a no ring match or something like Bloodsport where there's no ropes. How does that affect your timing in the ring? Like how you effectively work a match? How do you go into it? Do you prepare differently for it? How does that look for you?
No, I just do what I do. There's no real thought process that go behind it. I mean, no rings, you don't want to land a whole lot, but it's pro wrestling is always a clash of characters. It's a clash of ideals, and even in Bloodsport, it's just a matter of, okay, what's the match? He's a striker. I'm a grappler. There's a set of rules. We can play with the rules. Do the thing. I'm not a pro wrestler who's dependent on running the ropes to make a match cool. Like, it's never been my fucking thing. I do some stuff in the ropes, but it's not. I'm not beholden to I need ropes, or it's a problem if I don't have ropes. If a rope breaks, I go, okay, cool. I don't need that shit. I mean, I think that's just the quality of being a good worker. Two is because things happen, ropes break, the ring breaks, turnbuckle breaks. You got to just be able to work with it and use it to your advantage, or just avoid using it at all. And I've just been happy and I've been blessed to put in scenarios where I've learned to work around those kinds of things, because I think some people don't get exposed to those kinds of things, and when they do happen and they're on a major platform, they shell up. They freeze up, and they don't know what to do. So the fact that it's happening now, or I'm doing these kinds of matches, these kinds of scenarios now, I know what to do when the situation rises. It's put me in a pickle a couple times. I've been in some more high-profile matches, like in 2020 and 2021, where someone was either high on meth or could not stand because they had lost a lot of blood and they couldn't talk to me. But now I know if those things happen again, I know what I have to do. We can't as a professional wrestler and as an artist, as a human being, you can't be sheltered to the things. Oh, hey, Coda. Hey, buddy. Just hanging out.
Bona fide star.
Good to know.
He knows where the cameras are. He knows where hard cam is, right?
What a worker. Look at this. Look at this. There you go.
He just climbed right into focus like he knew what he was doing.
He knows what he was doing. He's part of my new promos for MLW. But yeah, that's the deal. You just, as a human being, you can't just be sheltered away from difficult things in life, because then you don't know how to handle them when they do appear. And it's the same thing with pro wrestling. You have to be exposed to failure or exposed to extreme circumstances, because then you know how to handle them. It's not often you get a cut like this on your face. You probably can't see it because the lighting's not good. But I have a huge fucking scar right here. And, a lot of people don't know how to handle it. And I didn't know how to handle it. But I've been under these kind of situations before with cuts, and things got handled accordingly. I didn't panic too much, and you just deal with it. But once again, you have to embrace the extremities of life. You have to embrace the failures and the highs and the lows and all the crazy circumstances in between, because it not only makes you a better person, it makes you a better wrestler.
All right.
That's why Terry Funk was so good, by the way, because he could do anything.
That's a clip right there. That's a clip. All right. The hard part's out of the way, but no matter who does one of these, everybody has to answer 5 random questions. Okay?
Okay.
2 of yours have to do with wrestling. The other 3 don't. You ready? I got them queued up.
Lay it on me.
Question number 1. All-time favorite movie?
Just one?
Okay, you want me to give you a genre? Would that make it an easier pick?
Yes, please. I was like,
favorite comedy then. That's always, I love good comedy.
Comedy? I love Grumpy Old Men.
It's a great pick.
I love Grumpy Old Men. That movie is so underrated. It'd either be Grumpy Old Men or Easy Money.
Also a good pick.
Yeah, Rodney Dangerfield. I live next to a memorial of Rodney Dangerfield. So
that's awesome.
Dude, he rules. I love Rodney Dangerfield. He's so good.
Question number 2. You're on the road. It's late. You're leaving a show. What's your go-to fast food stop?
I try to avoid fast food nowadays, but I'm a sucker for Arby's or Taco Bell.
Taco Bell's my go-to almost always, personally.
If I'm near home and an Arby's is near, though, I love Arby's. The curly fries are so good.
Question number 3. If you had to pick one thing from your personal life that you would say is the furthest from deathmatch wrestling, what is it?
My dogs.
Could be anything. Your
My
dogs?
dogs.
Question number 4. What's your favorite venue you've ever had a chance to wrestle in?
Kirkenhall.
That's one of those goated venues. I could see why.
Yeah, and there's not many people that could be like, especially guys, and they're like, yeah, I wrestled there, and I'm like, I wrestled there 3 times, once before the New Year's, once after the New Year's, and on New Year's too.
That's a run.
Yeah, Kirkenhall, or I will say, Roseland in Portland. Roseland is the closest, I think, to being an American Kirkenhall.
Question number 5. Toughest question of the night. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Yes.
That was quick, easy, to the point. Okay.
Is it between two pieces of bread, or between a thing of bread? Yes, it's a sandwich. Like, come on now.
All right. Easiest part of the episode. I get to shut the hell up. This is your chance to plug your socials. Tell anybody about anything you have coming up that you want them to know about. This is your chance.
Hi guys. If you don't know, my name is Akira. I'm the Death Fighter. I'm the Ace of Bakugaijin, and I am a guy who does many things. You can catch me on social media, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, whatever the fuck, which is at the Akira Way. If you want to support me on Patreon, that'd be great. That's patreon.com/Death Samurai. You will hop into my Discord through there. You can subscribe and get access to my premium, not my premium Snapchat, but it's my Snapchat, where it's all just Coda. It's Coda, it's Winston, the Italian Greyhound, it's Guinea Pigs, and occasionally it's me. And you can also catch me on twitch.tv/the Akira Way, where I play numerous kinds of video games, as well as we're going to be starting up our own Dungeons and our D&D sessions as well. So if you want to hop in for that shit, you can hop in for that shit. It's going to be a good time. And I'm going to be doing a lot more things, like learning Japanese through some games on there as well. And I basically play anything. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I do reactions, and if we get to certain goals, we get made Kira streams, which God bless us all for that one. You can also catch my merchandise. I believe it's at circle6.com, or that's one website, or you can go to deathsamurai.com, and that's where I have all my other merchandise. And you can catch me coming up at Unsanctioned Pro, as well as Battle Club Pro if you're in the New York area in 2 weeks, as well as Daikaiju Pro. And then in about 3 weeks is our return to MLW, and that will be in Chicago. I'm not announced yet, but you can expect me to be around.
Excellent. Akira, you're off the hook. I appreciate you taking some time out of your evening for me and stopping by and chatting about some wrestling.
Not a problem, man. Thank you very much.
Excellent. For the Akira Way, I am the Will Gray. Thanks for stopping by and listening, my people.